Hi, I'm Erik Linask, coming to you here from opening day at IT Expo West in Los Angeles. We're here beginning the first day of the 20th IT Expo. Joining me now is James Awad from Octasic. James, thank you very much for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
We were talking earlier, you were telling me that about how Octasic really got started in the voice chip space. But one of the things that everybody's talking about, in fact, if you're not talking about video these days, you're sort of behind the game a little bit.
Yep.
What are you guys doing in the video space?
So basically what we've realized is that a lot of the vendors who are using voice over IP equipment today want to add video. It's not a separate function. So what we've done with our Vocalo series of products is provide a system-on-chip solution that does not only voice over IP, but video over IP in the same device. So that way they don't have to forklift upgrade whatever solution they're using to add video at a later time.
So in that respect, it's sort of an ease of deployment situation for the client.
Exactly, and an ease of cost as well. I mean, they make one investment, they learn how to use one software API to control the chip, and from there on they can just build with new functionality at a later time.
What kind of challenges do you encounter when you're trying to incorporate video into your chips?
Like any new market, people are still new to video, so they don't necessarily have the same expertise or emphasis on quality, for example. So the huge differentiator of our product is that someone out of the box can just turn on video transcoding, and the chip with the firmware does everything itself. So they don't have to worry about new standards or any new codecs that they don't understand or any new algorithms that they have to develop. It's all in there out of the box.
And how easy is it for you then to adapt your chips to new standards, new codecs as they all come along? So obviously those are evolving all the time.
And not just standards, just exactly evolutions of existing standards like H.264. They continue to add new profiles that are still being defined. So our system, our solution is completely programmable. It's a generic DSP. So we're able at the drop of a hat to add a new software load. In fact, we continuously put out new software releases even to our existing customers. So we track those standards and we participate in them and add the changes as we move.
How difficult is it to ensure quality of video as opposed to voice quality?
It's not an impossible task. It's like voice. What happened in the voice realm was that people just got really good at it. There were lots of companies doing test equipment, so it was easy to get the type of stuff that you needed to test it. Same thing's happening for video. It's still new, so there's a few players that are providing test equipment for that space and learning the algorithms. So what we've done is we've put a huge emphasis on the quality so the customer doesn't have to worry about that. It just works. You lose packets, it takes care of it. You have a small network bandwidth link, it takes care of it.
Now, I said earlier that you sort of have to be looking at video, at least in some capacity these days. What's the adoption like in the market for video products and services?
Right. Well, you see a lot of good products here on the floor. I think the IP PBX space is always a bit slower because it takes 5 to 7 years for people to turn over their PBX and to buy a new one. So that takes a bit longer. Where we're seeing the fastest adoption is obviously in the mobile space because people get a new phone every 18 months to 3 years. So that curve is much quicker. So that's where we're seeing a huge uptake.
Now, what about quality of video in the mobile space? Again, that's smaller devices, so that is one I guess easier challenge to address. But on the other hand, the networks are different. Yeah.
Well, the mobile space is extremely difficult simply because the bandwidth is so constrained. It's not like being on a 100 megabit link at the office or a gigabit link. So Octasic actually has a few patents pending on what's called a bitrate controller, which is the part of the algorithm that makes sure that I offer the best quality for the bandwidth I'm allocated. And if that bandwidth happens to even drop even lower, well, we can adjust dynamically to that to provide the best quality even on a very small screen.
Are there differences in requirements as far as doing recorded or on-demand video as opposed to doing live?
There are. I think the most difficult thing that Octasic does well is real-time communication. If we're having a video conference, I don't want to wait 5 seconds for you to say, yeah, okay, I agree. So latency has to be kept to a minimum, and that's something we do very well. The DSP is in fact multi-core. So what we do is we break up tasks onto different cores so that we can do them in parallel. So the latency is kept to a minimum. On-demand transcoding, what we do well there is typically for on-demand transcoding, if I'm sending you YouTube videos or MySpace videos, I have millions of users, so I need a really big system. So having the lowest power DSP means that I can cram more MIPS into that same box and handle more users.
What we mentioned earlier, this is the 20th version of IT Expo
Yep.
here. So, and we're just kicking off. What are some of the things you're expecting to see here at the show this year?
Hopefully a lot of video. It's been a long time coming. I know we've seen a few leaders in the PBX space come up with excellent devices for that. I'm hoping to see a lot of exciting things in the IVVR space, the interactive voice and video response space. So very quickly what's happening is you get this ecosystem of smaller players now that can base themselves on standards like voice XML and so on. So they can create fun and exciting applications without having to worry about the hardware that's underneath. In fact, Thursday at my talk on video in the enterprise, I'll be putting a strong emphasis on that.
Good. Certainly, I'm sure that's going to be a full session. Everybody wants to do video, like you said. Is that the interactive voice and video response market? Is that something that's really taken off these days as a sort of evolution of your traditional IVR?
Absolutely. It's been happening in pockets. So there are certain regions where the carriers, the devices, and so on have made it much easier for that to go to market. We haven't seen much of that yet in North America, but I think it's coming. We're starting to see requests from carriers. Basically what it means is when you call your travel agent or when you call your bank, instead of sitting through a long menu, well, now it's going to give you visual cues, so you can very quickly push or say one because you realize that's what you want. Or it'll tell you your bank balance is X and it'll show it to you on the screen and give you a little scare. But basically all those services are right there with visual cues.
Oh, fantastic. I've been talking here with James Awad from Octasic. James, thank you very much for joining me. Have a wonderful show. Good luck at your talk.
Thanks.
Thanks.